What is inflation? You're about to hear the biggest example in world history. During such a period, people were carrying their salaries in huge sacks. Bread at the bakery was not sold by weight but by the hour. On the streets, children were flying kites made from Deutschmark banknotes. At home, people burned bundles of money as firewood to keep warm. You heard that right. After World War I in Germany, money had become even less valuable than the paper it was printed on. How did it happen that people became poor not over a long period, but in just 1 minute? This story is the world's most painful economic disaster, the Weimar Hyperinflation. If you're ready, let's begin. In 1918, during World War I, Germany, along with the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria, lost the war. Due to the Treaty of Versailles, the country was drowning in war reparations, which, in today's money, amounted to trillions of dollars. The Weimar government had no resources. They couldn't raise taxes. They couldn't collect debts. In short, they had lost everything. And then one very clever person came up with the absurd idea, let's print money, we need it anyway. Machines started running day and night. People, not understanding the situation, thought it was good that money was increasing and believed the situation would be fine. But before long, they realized that printing more money had no real effect. Money was disappearing because it had no value. In 1923, France and Belgium occupied Germany's Ruhr region. The German people, furious, went on strike. The government then said, "Stay at home, we will pay your salaries." But there was one thing the public didn't know. The government had no money either. Yet that same clever person proposed printing even more money, and one of the greatest collapses in economic history began. After a while, prices no longer rose weekly, but hourly. Bread that cost 5 million marks in the morning could cost 8 million marks in the evening. A beer could rise to 4 billion marks, and 1 kilogram of meat to 36 billion marks. Yes, you heard that correctly. Billions. People went to banks with wheelbarrows to collect their salaries. You may have heard the famous stories. The woman who burned money in the stove because it was cheaper than firewood. Children playing with stacks of banknotes. And a man whose basket full of money was stolen. Not for the money itself, but because the basket was more valuable. As with every economic crisis, this was not only an economic disaster, but also a social one. Workers were not paid monthly, but every 3 hours, morning, noon, and evening, because their wages lost value within 3 hours. People went to shops asking, "What can I buy with this money today?" since no one could predict what prices would be even half an hour later. By the end of 1923, the German government finally ignored the advice of that clever person and completely replaced the currency. The new currency was called the Rentenmark. Each Rentenmark was backed by a real asset. Overnight, an incredible thing happened. Prices stabilized, and the country finally breathed a deep sigh of relief. Hyperinflation had ended, but the effects of those days still remained in people's minds. Perhaps even today, some Germans owe their financial discipline to that period. Today, when a new government comes to power, many Germans still say, "Let it not be like Weimar," because those who lived through those days understand how fragile money can be. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you're curious about another economic crisis, leave a comment. We'll explore it in the next video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.